Hey guys, welcome back. Today I'm going to do a video on calorie counting and how to set up your maintenance calories, and then from there you can either go into a calorie surplus or a calorie deficit depending on what your goals are, and I'll go into that in a bit more later on. But I've had a lot of questions that people have asked about calorie counting and how they would go about that. I think there's loads of videos on YouTube already, but I kind of wanted to put my own spin on it, or at least do my version of it, because I do get these questions quite a lot, and then in the future I could just say, hey, just watch my YouTube video on calorie counting. Now I just want to make quite clear that this isn't the only way to go about it. I know there's like multiple different formulas online that you can use that would probably give you the same result, I guess. And they're all quite trustworthy, but this is my way of doing it, and this is how I find it quite easy to calculate, if that makes any sense. So yeah, basically what you need to know is when you're thinking about calorie counting, what comes up a lot is BMR. Now BMR is your basal metabolic rate. Now this is basically how many calories you need for your body to function normally. Now this is you basically not doing much. BMR is one thing you got to keep in mind. Using this formula here, I will show you how to calculate your BMR theoretically, and then from there we'll be calculating our maintenance calories. Now what are maintenance calories? Your maintenance calories are the calories that you need, or the calories that you typically burn in a day to maintain your current body shape, and yeah, pretty much maintain your current body shape, and I guess to keep up with your activity levels during a day. So the formula that I use is the Miflin-St Jeor. I don't think I'm saying that right or pronouncing it right, but that is the formula that I use, and there's two different variations of it. One of them is for a male and the other one is for a female, and there's like a slight difference at the end of the formula, which is here and here, but I'll dive into that in a minute. Now, to start off by calculating your maintenance and obviously your BMR, you need to have your body weight in kilograms, you need to have your height in centimeters, your age, and then lastly you need to know roughly how active you are on a daily basis. And I've written it down here what the category is going to be, and obviously I'll dive into that in a minute. But yeah, basically you need these four things to kind of plug into the formula for you to end up calculating your BMR and your maintenance. Now the male version of this formula is basically you do 10 times your weight in kilograms, add 6.25 times your height in centimeters, minus 5 times your age. Now that is the same for both male and female. The only difference is at the end. So you do all of that, so 10 times your weight plus 6.25 times your height minus 5 times your age. But for a male, at the end you add on 5, and for a female at the end you take off 161. Now this just accounts for differences obviously in male and female. So for me, I'm going to use myself as an example. So currently I'm sitting around about 83 kilograms in weight, and I actually have put on a decent amount of lockdown weight over the last couple of weeks, and actually months to be fair. So yeah, I'm 83 kilograms. I am 171.45 centimeters in height. That'll be around about 5'7.5". So yeah, I'm not too short, but I'm not tall either. But yeah, so 5'7.5", and my age surprisingly is 21. Now for all of you think I'm like 35 or something, blow me neck, man. I know I've got a beard and that makes me look a lot older, but yeah, I'm 21 surprisingly. And then finally I've put my activity levels down to 1.7. So yeah, let's start off with the calculation. So to start off with, you're going to plug all these numbers into the formula here. So if you're a male, you do that formula, and if you're a female, you're going to do this formula here. So for me, it'll be 10 times my weight in kilograms, which is going to be 830. And then it's going to be 6.25 times my height which is 1072. And finally, 5 times my age, 21, add 5, which will be 110. So now that you calculate all of that, what you're going to do is you're going to basically calculate that number and you'll end up with your BMR. For me, that is 1792. And that's going to be your basal metabolic rate. How much energy you need to burn, or how many calories you burn at rest. So yeah, that's quite easy. It's quite simple, right? Now from there, you have your BMR now, and now you want to find out your calorie maintenance. Now, I did say this before, but the main difference between the two, your BMR and your maintenance calories, is the BMR doesn't take into account your activity levels. Calculated our BMR, which is 1792. Now from there you can calculate your maintenance by using your activity level. Now I'm just going to quickly dive into how to actually figure out what kind of range you're in. Now I've got the categories down here. It goes from 1.2 to 2.2, and so the first level is going to be 1.2 to 1.5, and this is where you're quite sedentary, or you have quite a sedentary lifestyle. This is where you're mostly sat at a desk for your job. You don't really do much outside of your job, so you're not that active. So for example, I could give you an example of someone who works in an office, right? They sat at their desk majority of the day, say they do a 9 to 5. The only bit of activity they're really doing is commuting to work. That could just be in a car or stepping off the train station and going to work, right? And when they get home, they just sit at home. Now I'm not factoring in the fact that you're training 3 to 6 times a week. That's separate. But I'm just talking about daily activity levels, right? So if you're a person who has a desk job and doesn't really do much activity outside of work, then you'll be in this range, and you can basically figure out exactly where you are. You can pick from 1.2 to 1.5. If you're really lazy and you don't do much, I'd say lean more towards the 1.2 side. And if you are a little bit active but not a lot, not enough to kind of get out of this range, then I'd say you're closer to 1.5. Now that's that category, that level, sorry. The next category or level is going to be you are quite lightly active. That's going to be from 1.5 to 1.8. Now when I say lightly active, I'm saying you still kind of work a desk job where your job isn't that highly active. And you're basically outside of work, you do a little bit of activity here and there. You might go take the dog for a walk. You might go for like a 10 to 15 minute walk here and there. You do some house chores, hoovering, whatever it may be. So that's lightly active. So if you fit into that category, you'll be in this range here. The next category after that is you're going to be moderately active. Now when I say moderately active, I'm saying you might not necessarily work a desk job, but it's not really a high activity level job, but it's like a moderate activity level job. You might still be working at a desk, but outside of work you do a bit of like sports, for example a 5-side football on the weekend, or you might go netball if you're a woman. Actually no, I shouldn't have said that, but netball is an example, tennis is another example. You do go for regular walks, and you do your house chores, for example. That I'd have you down at a moderate kind of activity level there. Now the final one is if you're really active. Now this is specific to people who work quite labour intensive jobs, people who have quite an active job. So prime example would be a construction worker, someone who's lifting heavy blocks of, for example, bricks as their job. I mean, I'm really generalising it here right now. But yeah, if you're working quite a labour intensive job, say if you work in retail and you're stocking shelves, but basically if you're in this category here, you'd be in a highly active job, and outside of work you'll also be doing quite high activity, I guess, activities. Like you could be hiking quite often, you might be an avid hiker, you might go on runs quite often, you might go and do regular 5-side football, and all of that. Basically you are quite highly active in general in your daily life, outside of work as well. And now all of these don't factor in the fact that you're training as well alongside that. This is because I'm just trying to get a sense of, or this formula is more based on how you are active on a daily basis. So yeah, once you figured that out and you figured out what range you're in, you're gonna times your BMR by whatever number you've chosen from here. So for me it was 1.7, so I'm in this category here. Because of COVID, I'm not as active as I used to be. Because before COVID I used to go out a lot. But yeah, I do work quite a high active job on the weekends, which is at Asda, because I'm lifting boxes, heavy boxes, and I'm getting about, I don't know, 15,000 to 20,000 steps a day. So I would say that's quite a high active job. It's not as high as maybe a construction worker, but it's up there. So normally I'd be in the range of moderate, and I'd choose like a figure from here to plug into the formula. But because it's COVID and I haven't been as active, or I'm not as active as I typically am, I'm at 1.7, which is a lightly active range. So yeah, so you basically just times that by 1,792, which is my BMR, times 1.7, and I end up with 3,046 as my maintenance calories. So yeah, that is quite an easy way to calculate your maintenance calories and obviously your BMR. This is a formula, and so it's not going to be very, very accurate. Your maintenance calories might be a little bit different to this, but I would say it's close to what your maintenance calories are actually. Like, I'd say it's quite close. But the only way you're going to know that is if you try it out. And for me, this is more of a start point for you to work on. So if you wanted to lose weight, I would slowly decrease calories from this. And if I was going to gain weight, or if I wanted to put on muscle, I'd start to increase this number here. That's it. And the way I do it is I go up in 20% or go down 20%. So obviously I time this number by 1.2 if I was going to go into a calorie surplus, or I'd divide this number by, or times this number, sorry, by 0.8 if I was going to drop by 20%. That's, yeah. So I'd be dropping by 20% either way. And then what I would do is I would do that for 2 weeks, and I would measure my weight. For me, I like measuring it every day. Now, for some people that is quite damaging because you're constantly thinking about the scale as opposed to how you actually look in the mirror. Now, I don't advocate people to do that, but for me, I like doing that. I like having a steady weight every day. So at the end of the week, I can do like an average of the weighing, sorry. And then I'd do that for 2 weeks, and I'd see what would happen. I would see if I'm gaining weight. If I was gaining weight, I'd stay at the calories, and the only time I would start to increase the calories again would be if I was kind of plateauing and I wasn't really gaining much weight, or it was just like a flat line and I wasn't gaining anything. That's when I would increase the weight. And that could be, the same thing could be applied to if you were trying to decrease your calories and you were trying to lose weight. If you were at week 2 or week 3 and you weren't losing any weight, then I would obviously drop the calories a little bit more. Now, I wouldn't drop it by 20%, I would probably drop it by, I don't know, about 100 calories or by 10%. Yeah, by 10% sounds good. I don't want you to drop calories super low or super high, or increase super high. I think doing it gradually is the perfect way to go about it. Now, what I haven't delved into is how I would split that into my carbs, my proteins and my fats. I might do that in another video. If I do like a full day of eating, I'll explain that as well, just at the start. But yeah, this is basically how you would find your BMR and how you would find your maintenance calories. This is how I go about it. This is how I would do it if I had a client that came to me and asked me, okay, you know what, set me up with a diet plan. Tell me what my maintenance calories are, tell me what my surplus or deficit calories are. This is how I would do it. Now, this might not always be good for you. Like, some people prefer different formulas, but this is the way I go about it, and I trust this process relatively. But the good thing about this is that you can trial it. You know, you can trial it for 2 weeks and see if you actually gained weight or not. And it just gives you a good start point, I think. Now, if you didn't want to use a, what's it called, a formula, you don't want to do all this. You could simply just say if you're starting off, I'd say just track every single thing you were eating for 2 weeks. Now you're not dieting, you're not anything. You're just tracking what you're normally eating, right? I'd track all that down, write it all down, and I'd take my weight, sorry, and then I'd compare the 2 weeks, and then I do an average of what your maintenance calories are. That's one way of going about it, but I think it wastes a lot of time. I think, because then you're spending 2 weeks trying to find out your maintenance, and then from there you're going to be either increasing or decreasing your calories. Whereas with this process, you're already starting that kind of, in a way. So there's two different ways of going about it. Actually, there's multiple ways of going about it, but this is how I do it. Let me know what kind of formulas you've used in the past, or if you think I'm wrong, let me know. I mean, it's always great to kind of you know, improve your knowledge, and maybe, you know, everyone loves to get called out on their mistakes, don't they? So if you think I'm wrong, go for it, let me know in the comments. But basically, I want to put out a lot more content, and I don't want it to be like boring content. And for me, it's boring sitting here in front of a whiteboard. I typically don't like to watch these kind of videos. I like watching vlogs, I like watching people train, I like what I like, and I want to kind of emanate that in my own videos as well. So hopefully going forward I'll do maybe a full day of eating, but in more of a vlog style kind of thing, instead of me just sitting in front of you eating. I might want to go do like a grocery haul type of thing, show you what I typically get on a weekly basis. And I want to be as transparent as possible. I don't really track calories. I never have, up until now, I've never tracked calories. I've never weighed out my food. I've never given like much thought to it. For the past 5 years, all I have been doing is literally just eating whatever the hell I want. And it seemed to be working for me so far. But I've come to a realization that it's not healthy, for one, because I used to eat a load of junk. I used to have like takeaways here and there. It's not healthy for one. I have no idea where my body is going. I'm not sure if I'm in a calorie deficit, if I'm in a calorie surplus. I have no clue. So I could be losing weight and still training, and I wouldn't have a clue. And for me, I want to make progress this year. After COVID, after everything, I've just, you know what, I really want to make progress this year. And the only way I see me doing that is through following a proper plan. And that's how I recommend any of you to do it. So that's 3. So from now on, my camera keeps cutting out for some reason. I think it has a 10-minute time limit, and I'm talking way more than 10 minutes. But from now on, I'm going to follow a plan, and I can't wait for the gyms to open again in April. Only problem being that it's going to be Ramadan around that time. So for the whole month, I might just go into a calorie maintenance and stay at that for the full Ramadan, and then as soon as Ramadan's over, it's going to go straight into a surplus and start putting on a lot of size. I can't wait to train, and I'm sure all of you feel the same way. I wish you all the best going forward. I hope this helps you kind of have an idea of where to start, in essence. Dieting isn't easy. It might look easy when people are doing it. It is quite hard, especially if you have a hard time controlling your sugar cravings or controlling your eating habits. Following a plan and following a calorie based diet, it will help you get the body that you desire, the body that you really want. And you just got to stay motivated, you got to stay dedicated, and you will see the progress. It might take a while, but you will. Come April time, I will be offering online coaching and personal training, and if you are interested, do drop me a message. I will be going full throttle, and I will be expecting a lot of clients, hopefully. Yeah, I hope this helped, and if you want to see more videos, I don't know if you do let me know in the comments. Please subscribe. It's like the first time I've ever said it. Please subscribe and comment and like. Is that how you? Alright, I'm just doing an arm workout right now. A bit out of breath, but
I forgot to talk about the macronutrients, like your carbs, your proteins and your fats, and how you would kind of figure out how much of each you need. Now what I'm going to do is I might do a full day of eating soon, and at the start of that I'll kind of dive into that a little bit just to finish off this kind of video. So yeah, I'm just watching some C-Bum motivation right now. Check him out. But yeah, basically like, comment, subscribe and keep supporting the channel. I've got some good stuff coming soon, man. So yeah, thank you.